an opportunity to talk about some of the things that you've heard today. We set you a task of asking between about 2 or 3 questions for the panel here. Dave's got the roaming mic. Shall we take those questions first, and then if we've got any others and other people want to ask questions, we can open it up until past. So, who was the blue group? That's your group, Dave. Are you asking the questions too?
Well, I mean, I've asked people to...
And they put their head down.
You did voluntary run last.
Yeah.
I'm from the voluntary sector, so I had a question about how is social work going to include social workers within the voluntary and small voluntary sector and include them in the post after they do their first social work qualification and involve them in the organisations you're talking about. Do you answer?
Yeah, who wants to answer? Who's best set to answer that one?
That's okay. I mean, I think we had a bit of discussion about this. I've got a personal worry about this because of the concept of social work as a title, because to register, as you know, in this country, you have to be to register as a social worker, you have to be a qualified social worker. And I know that a lot of people in the voluntary sector are now working under different titles. So we have social workers working as project workers, project leaders, managers, that sort of thing. And I've heard even long-standing Basildon saying, well, I don't really need to register because I'm not really a social worker now. And I think that's so sad. And I see a disintegration or a disparity in our profession, that we have this concentration on statutory as perhaps a more positive or a different skill than that in the voluntary sector particularly, and it's very disturbing. That's not my belief.
I'd just say the same. I think social work takes place in many different contexts. It can be an independent sector, it can be a statutory, and I think all of us, I hear students who are in independent placements who will say that they've been told it's not proper social work, I'm not going to get a job afterwards, and there's a lot of that kind of, it's seen as a bit of a second class thing, I think, and I think it's important that it's not. I think that social work does take place in a variety of places. I think, as you pointed out, actually that in America, statutory social work is seen as the poor relation, whereas here it's the opposite way around. In Africa, the same, it's very much community-based practice. So I think if we look internationally, that focus on statutory social work is a focus on proceduralised practice, and I think all of us need to take responsibility for recognising that social work takes place in many contexts and that all are valuable and important, and there's not a proper social work. And as you said, when people say to me, I'm not doing social work now, that worries me as well. So I think we should all maintain registration wherever we work as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I recently asked students how many of them do voluntary work, and it was interesting that large numbers of students, before they get into education, engage in voluntary work, and once they're in education and in practice, that seems to dwindle. In fact, I was the only one in the room who did voluntary work, I think, when I did my last class survey. I'm passionate about motorbikes in the NHS, and I deliver blood, emergency blood out of hours for the NHS as part of an organisation called SERVE, which is a volunteer service. And I think we've always had volunteers. It's not, it wasn't invented by the big society. People have always volunteered, and volunteers play a very important role, not just in the NHS, but more broadly. I think we have to acknowledge that the voluntary sector has been disproportionately attacked, I think, as a result of austerity. And if we want services, we have to pay for them. We can't get them on the cheap. So I think we need investment in the voluntary sector, and I think social workers, there are many social workers actually who don't want to go into statutory social work, actually want to work in other areas, and that means actually I think we need to invest in all services, whether it's statutory or voluntary services, and they should be central to everything we do. We're very fortunate of us, and we've got an excellent relationship with the voluntary sector in Oxfordshire and beyond, and we include that as a very important, very special partnership we have, and we cherish that, and we hope it continues long into the future.
Okay, well thank you, go on then, Emily.
We were talking in our group about just the chaos maybe that we feel at this time in terms of, our go-to might have been the College of Social Work, and just for example changes. I mean, there's people that we were talking quite openly and honestly about not really being aware of the KSF, some, yeah, right, thank you, and also even PCF, and actually knowing that out in practice, certainly some of the statutory teams, PCF isn't being used, and even practitioners aren't actually really aware of it and what it means. And kind of some advice around the bill, the social work, whose responsibility, who should be kind of flagging that up if you're a local authority, and just the kind of, it's quite from education and students that will be taught in our group saying that they get all this information, but actually then the organisations, we don't necessarily have that. And where we as practitioners can kind of sift through all this stuff, is it BASWA that we should be kind of going to if we want to find that out?
I think this links to another group, the final group that I went in, we were talking about CPD and whether we take responsibility as an individual for that or where that comes from. And I think we do need to take responsibility as individuals, but likewise I think we're also so bombarded by work that then, when you get home from work, you don't want to be necessarily, that's not your CPD time. So, but what I'd say is things like The Guardian and Community Care have both followed the bill really well and with some quite succinct explanations. I think also, from my perspective, being a member of BASWA, I've got a lot of information. But the other thing I'd say is I'm not a social networking kind of person, and a student of mine said you need to get on Twitter. And what I would say to you is I have found a huge amount